Another day, another drama. Just as we were done with Prime Minister Mark Carney's address to the nation the other day, a new set of events has unfolded. All trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. That's what Donald Trump posted just hours ago. The Canada-US trade talks dead, all because of an ad. Let me explain. For months, Canada has been working quietly behind the scenes to repair relations and protect its industries, and now it's all on fire again. So how did we go from talks progressing to all negotiations terminated? Well, here's where it gets a little bit ridiculous in my view. Apparently, the Ontario government, yes, provincial, not federal, decided that it was time to get spicy. They put out this ad full of dramatic music and slow-mo footage featuring none other than, wait for it, Ronald Reagan. Let me show it to you very quickly.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
This was surprisingly difficult to find, by the way. I thought that it would be front and center considering that it had gone viral, but I had to dig really deep for it. Yep, they clipped together some old Reagan quotes about tariffs being bad, stuff like trade wars hurt workers and tariffs backfire, and then they aired it as part of an anti-tariff campaign. Doug Ford calls the ad effective and even talks about how he wants to use it to get the Reagan Republicans to fight against the MAGA Republicans. Let me show you.
I heard that the president heard our ad. I'm sure he wasn't too happy, but it's real because it was coming from the best president the country's ever seen, Ronald Reagan. So it's very effective. It's probably one of the best ads I've ever seen, and it's coming from Ronald Reagan's voice. And it's going to be focused right across the country, but also in Republican-held areas, because what I feel, the Reagan Republicans are going to be fighting with a MAGA group. And let's hope Reagan Republicans win.
I don't know if this is the approach here, considering just the other day Carney was addressing Canada and outlining a much more streamlined process regarding the relationship between Canada and the US. The incoming APEC Summit is going to be the event where a deal was about to get signed. Carney said this multiple times and other members of this team as well. This is actually going to happen literally next week on Halloween, actually. But now with this, well, Donald Trump has been furious. Apparently he took one look at the ad and lost it. Posted on Truth Social that Canada was attacking US trade policy and that all trade talks are hereby terminated. This is what he posted exactly. The Ronald Reagan Foundation has just announced that Canada has fraudulently used an advertisement, which is fake, featuring Ronald Reagan speaking negatively about tariffs. The ad was for $75 million. They only did this to interfere with the decision of the US Supreme Court and the other courts. Tariffs are very important to the national security and economy of the USA. Based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. I mean, imagine canceling international negotiations over a video. That's your allies' province made using your own party's hero. It gets better because the Reagan Presidential Foundation came out and said the ad was misleading. Apparently, Ontario didn't even ask permission to use the clip, so now we've got Reagan's ghost involved too. They're saying the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute learned that the government of Ontario, Canada, created an ad campaign using selective audio and video of President Ronald Reagan delivering his radio address to the nation on free and fair trade dated April 25th, 1987. The ad misrepresents the presidential radio address, and the government of Ontario did not seek nor receive permission to use and edit the remarks. The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute is reviewing its legal options in this matter. We encourage you to watch President Reagan's unedited video on our YouTube channel. I mean, I personally don't blame them for this specifically. The goal of this foundation and institute isn't to make policy, just to maintain the integrity of Reagan, so maybe they're off the hook. But the rest, I don't know. In my view, this does feel a bit like an overreaction. So to recap, Canada is trying to get a deal. Trump is rage quitting because of an ad. Ontario accidentally tanked the whole thing. Reagan is probably rolling in his grave. Amazing. Just another day in geopolitics. But let's rewind for a second. Before Trump rage quit the conversation, what was even being negotiated? Because this wasn't just a casual phone call between two countries. This was a really big deal. For months now, Canada and the US have been in back and forth talks trying to resolve one of the most painful economic issues of the past year, tariffs. The US slapped major tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminium, and auto parts, big sectors, big jobs, big ripple effects. And to be clear, these weren't minor fees either. These were industry-shaking penalties hitting manufacturers, supply chains, and exports right across the country. It was a blunt weapon in what should have been a nuanced conversation, in my opinion. But here's the thing, Canada didn't escalate here. It didn't retaliate with more drama. It didn't start a meme war or go full protectionist. Instead, it just negotiated. Behind the scenes, Carney's government had been laying the groundwork for a deal methodically, like adults. And honestly, this kind of level-headed, long game thinking is something that I talk about a lot in my writing too. If you're someone who wants to get better at cutting through noise and understanding how media and truth actually work, I'd love for you to check out my book, Awake. It's a practical guide to thinking clearly in a messy world, and it's linked below. And if you enjoy this kind of independent, research-heavy content, you can also support the channel directly through Ko-fi. Every contribution helps keep this kind of work alive. Anyway, there is even growing optimism that something would be signed at the APEC Summit next week, something that could have reset the tone between Ottawa and Washington. Given both countries' reliance on cross-border manufacturing, a new trade deal would have been a win for everyone, basically, especially for Canadian workers. And that's what was on the table, a chance to restore balance, to send a signal that Canada isn't here to get pushed around. Canada is here to partner, basically. Because let's be real, this wasn't just about steel. It wasn't just about Reagan's quotes. It was about something much more fundamental. Would Canada be treated as a partner or a pawn? And Carney, well, he was positioning Canada as a partner, of course, as a country with backbone, with strategy and economic discipline. So let's just ask the obvious question. Who actually benefits from this mess? Because spoiler alert, it's not Canadian workers. It's not American workers either. It's definitely not the global supply chain. So who? Does Trump really want to punish Canada here? Or is this just another ego tantrum because someone aired an ad that he didn't like? Are we making policy now based on feelings? Because this wasn't some official attack. It was a provincial ad quoting one of his party's icons. And yet here we are, entire negotiations blown up over a vibes-based offense. Come on, let's step back. We're living in a time where global trade is on fire. We've got inflation, rising costs, broken supply chains, and fragile export relationships all over the world. This is the moment for nations to build bridges, not burn them because of a moody post on social media. Instead, Canada finds itself once again being treated like a scapegoat, a punching bag for a political game that Canada didn't even start. You used our steel to build your cars, your building, your infrastructure. We asked to talk about making that fair again. And now Canada is the problem? It's just childish. And the people who suffer the most are not the politician or the party donors. It's welders, engineers, factory workers. It's small businesses trying to navigate a border that suddenly feels like a wall again. This is not a schoolyard, my friends. This is real life, and it deserves better than this. It deserves more nuance. Canada is showing up with proposals here. Trump is showing up with tantrums. And while one side is doing the hard work of compromise, the other is rage posting and ghosting like it's a bad Tinder date. So again, who wins here? Doesn't seem like anyone is winning to me, but someone loses for sure. And that somebody wears a uniform, has a mortgage, and pays taxes in both countries. And that is the real tragedy. But here's the part that matters most, in my view. Canada will be fine. More than fine. Because this isn't the first time it's been underestimated. It's not the first time someone stormed out of a negotiation thinking Canada would come crawling back. And it sure won't be the last time that it walks away stronger either. Canada has been here before, in one form or another. Every decade, every era, a bigger economy throws its weight around, tries to test, tries to rattle. And every time Canadians keep building, trading, rising. Because Canada is not fragile. Canada is not easy to break. Canadian strength doesn't come from showboating or headlines or tantrums. It comes from stability, from diplomacy, from a quiet, relentless commitment to doing the work, to showing up even when it's inconvenient, even when it's not popular, even when the cameras aren't rolling. Right now, while Trump is typing in all caps about some ad clip, Canada is signing deals with the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, South Korea, the UK, half the Indo-Pacific. We have plenty of videos on this channel discussing those specifically. Canada is diversifying and adapting, investing in industries that last. And yes, Canada was willing to come to the table in good faith, but if the other side just walks away, well, that's their choice. Canada doesn't beg or fold, and there's no need to waste time chasing storms. This little drama will blow over, it always does. And when it does, the world will see what it always sees, that Canada stays steady, that Canada thinks long-term, that Canada leads with integrity and not impulse, and under Carney's leadership, that doesn't just continue, it just deepens. Because this country is in capable hands, and whether the door stays open or slams shut, well, Canada is already building what comes next. Let them walk away. Canada will still be here, standing tall, eyes forward, future ready. So what do you think? Was this just political theater, or did we witness the end of something bigger? And more importantly, do you think Canada should even wait around for the US to come back to the table, or is it just time to move on perhaps? Let me know in the comments. Let's have a good debate. And if you believe that calm, principled leadership matters, that we need more of it in this world, then hit subscribe. This is House of L, and we're just getting started.